27 years of marriage evaporated the moment I checked the security logs and saw a man walk into my sanctuary but never walk back out. Welcome back to the channel for another story that defies belief. A few weeks back, the motion sensors on my newly mounted front door camera triggered. I watched a stranger step across the threshold of my home, yet the feed never showed him exiting. The following afternoon, that specific block of footage had vanished from the server. I didn't need to play detective for long. The sudden deletion was all the confirmation I needed. My wife, who knows my habits better than anyone, realized I was connecting the dots. She assumed I had stumbled upon concrete proof, likely the digital evidence she had tried to scrub. I was actually in the middle of setting up internal surveillance and audio recorders to catch her in the act, but she beat me to the punch. She sat me down and confessed. It wasn't a one-time slip. It was a year-long campaign of betrayal, carried out almost entirely while I was away caring for my aging parents during the week. Her justification? I deserved better. She claimed she wanted a fair divorce. We would sell the property, divide the equity, and go our separate ways. She even suggested she might owe me spousal support, either monthly or as a lump sum payout. We agreed to split the debts, though the house sale would likely just wipe the slate clean with a little left over to restart our lives. It felt so hollow. It was anticlimactic and profoundly unjust. I admit, I let the rage fester inside me. I wanted to burn everything down, to exact some form of vengeance. But who would I expose her to? There was nobody on the other side who mattered. The other man was single, divorced, and honestly, he seemed to know more about the reality of my marriage than I did. It wasn't a deep romance they shared. It was just a transaction. It probably wasn't even her first transgression. But I chose to walk away without digging for more details that would only haunt me. This betrayal landed at a critical juncture in my life. I am drowning in the logistics of elder care and simply lack the bandwidth or the will to fight for scraps. She offered to try and repair the damage, but we both know the foundation is too cracked. She knows how damaged I remain from being cheated on in a relationship over 2 decades ago, before we even met. Some wounds never fully scar over. I have recently started to wonder if our entire marriage was just a rebound that lasted too long. I am a loyal man. Once I give my word, I am locked in. Perhaps I locked in too early. Now I struggle to see the value in any romantic partnership. The idea of trusting another human being seems impossible. So, that is the situation. No screaming matches, no grand revenge plot, no public shaming. Just 2 miserable, detached lives severed at the root. Now I must dismantle my ego and rebuild my identity from zero. I feel like just another failure in a lifetime of stumbling blocks. The life I recognized is dead. I am moving through the motions on autopilot. I dread returning to that house. Yet I must pack boxes and prep the building for the real estate market. Then comes the hunt for an apartment. I don't even know where I want to exist anymore. It all feels so bleak. I invested more than half my life in this woman. The future looks like a black hole, and the only thing dragging me out of bed is the obligation to my parents. I suppose having no children is the silver lining here. Once the papers are signed, I never have to speak to her again. But silence takes time. Hearing her voice rips the wound wide open. I find myself browsing for misery, scrolling through old photos and remembering the days that weren't tainted. I don't understand why I'm anchored in the past, mourning a relationship I thought I was ready to exit anyway. I lie in the dark, dissecting every mistake, convincing myself I was never good enough. I wonder why I am always the one left holding the bag. I feel old, discarded, and unworthy of a decent existence. Later that night, the silence was deafening. She hadn't called or texted since I walked out. I told her not to, and I meant it, but the silence still stung. She respected my boundary, I suppose. Not one additional apology. Not a single check-in. Is she sitting on the sofa watching TV like it is a normal Tuesday? Or is she hurting too? Why do I even care? Insomnia and heartbreak are a toxic cocktail. Why does it hurt this much when I wanted to leave? Did she know I wouldn't have pulled the trigger? Did she think I would crumble and return? For what? The history? Certainly not the intimacy. Is she truly that done with me? Her actions scream yes. My actions need to define who I am now. But who is that man? He isn't the guy I saw in the mirror last week. That guy was blind. He was a fool. He believed in a fantasy. He thought he was living in a movie where things work out. In the end, he wasn't even given a vote. That man was fired from the only job he ever loved, replaced while he was still sitting at his desk. He watched his successor walk through the door and hand him a cardboard box. Update. My wife finally reached out. She appreciated my apology for some harsh words I had spoken earlier, acknowledging I was lashing out. We kept it brief. I informed her I would be returning to the house this weekend to pack and that I needed her to be absent. It was civil, mostly. I told her I didn't care where she went. She could stay with her boyfriend for all I cared. She denied that immediately, claiming she wants me back, begging for one more chance. She swore she had never done anything like this before. I admit, part of me wanted to rewind the clock to any year other than this one. I would have revisited our worst struggles rather than face this reality, but I held my ground. I told her I saw no path forward. It was a year of deception. I can't unsee that. I asked only one question. How many times? Silence hung on the line. She asked if I truly wanted to know, warning me it would cause more damage. I insisted. That was when the hammer dropped. She admitted it was sporadic at first, but after a month, it became a daily occurrence whenever I was away. Even on weekends when she claimed to be at the gym. For 6 months, it was constant. In the last few months, it slowed to once or twice a week. I nearly vomited. I muted the phone to let out a guttural sob. She had been intimate with him hundreds of times in a single year, more than we had been in the last decade. I wanted to ask if he was better, what they did, but shame choked me. I ended the call, telling her to leave for the weekend so I could pack in peace. I grabbed a bottle of expensive scotch and drank until the world blurred. Now I have to nurse a hangover while caring for my parents. Update. As agreed, I returned to the house. Thank God, she was gone. I started gathering documents and clothes, moving faster than anticipated. I put in my earbuds, blasting music to keep the dark thoughts at bay. I went down to the basement to box up some storage items. It was grueling, but I was determined to keep my momentum. Through the music, I heard the faint rush of water in the pipes. I paused. It continued. I walked upstairs and realized the shower was running. Rage spiked. I made coffee and decided to wait in my car. I should have driven off, but I sat in the driveway, stunned. I started typing a nasty text but deleted it, didn't want a paper trail. A new neighbor walked by and introduced himself while I was smoking outside my vehicle. I tried to be polite. Just as we were finishing up, the garage door opened. My wife stood there. She asked to speak to me. I had to endure an awkward introduction between my cheating spouse and this stranger. He sensed the tension and fled. Inside, I asked her simply, "Why are you here?" She claimed she couldn't check into her hotel until later and had been at the gym, that cursed gym, and needed to shower. She figured since I was in the basement, we wouldn't cross paths. I stared at her, wondering who this stranger was. She offered a weak apology and suggested we shouldn't be rash, that we should try counseling because we still loved each other. I looked her dead in the eye. "No, please leave. You agreed to stay away. This is the wreckage you created." I retreated to the basement. I heard the garage door close moments later. She is gone. Now I am a mess, staring at my bourbon collection, fighting the urge to numb myself again. Update. Sunday came after another sleepless night of packing. The memories attached to every object were agonizing. Our wedding album, the knickknacks we bought on vacation. I pushed through, but one item broke me. The sealed urn, containing the ashes of our unborn children. We had always planned to mix our ashes with theirs and be scattered together in the ocean. That plan is dust now. I don't know if it's wrong, but I want the urn. I don't know how to split remains. It feels like a desecration. I didn't mention it to her. I'll let the lawyers handle it. By Sunday evening, I was loaded up. I knew she was returning after 9 p.m. I had resisted the urge to sabotage the electronics out of spite. I felt like the bigger person. Around 7 p.m., as I was loading the last box, she pulled into the driveway. She looked shaken, but not nearly as destroyed as I felt. She asked if I was leaving so soon, and if we could talk. I was frustrated. I told her I had to get back to relieve the caregiver for my parents. She begged for a few minutes. She claimed she spent the weekend alone. I doubt it, and that she knows I can't forgive her, but she will always love me. She said she hated herself for destroying the only man who loved her unconditionally. I tried to remain stoic, but my eyes betrayed me. I didn't speak. I just listened. She gave me the standard cheater script. She felt ignored, She thought I was cheating. She felt we were just roommates. But then she brought up a conversation from 2 Christmases ago. She was angry that I had been afraid of intimacy due to the fear of another pregnancy and the trauma of our losses. She claimed she felt rejected, that I blamed her for the miscarriages. She said when my parents got sick, she thought I was using them as an excuse to avoid her. She claimed the affair partner meant nothing. Initially, it was done out of spite, but she missed the physical connection. She swore she never planned to leave me. She begged for a path forward, or at least a delay in the divorce. I snapped. A chance? You want a chance after a year of lies? I screamed that I had been vulnerable with her about my fears, hoping it would bring us closer, and she weaponized it to justify betrayal. I told her I was so broken, I had considered ending it all. She admitted she had similar thoughts. I calmed down and told her I could never be vulnerable again. I realized she had twisted my honesty into a weapon. I left, driving away in tears, blasting music to drown out the pain. I wondered if I was stupid for ever letting my guard down. Karma, perhaps, for wanting to leave last fall. Now I just have to pretend to be happy while dying inside. Update. I worked out a list of questions with my therapist, though he advised against asking them. I need the final nail in the coffin. I need the pain to push me through. I retained an attorney and told her she needs to do the same. Here is the list. 1. Were you already emotionally involved before the physical affair began? 2. When and where was the first contact, and what happened? 3. When was the last contact? 4. Did you picture a future with him? 5. Did you discuss my shortcomings with him? 6. Was the disrespect intentional during your intimacy? 7. Did you feel you were getting revenge? 8. Do you regret our life together? I don't expect honesty. She is a master liar now. I just want to sink the dagger deep enough to kill any lingering hope. Update. Fate has a twisted sense of humor. It has been a month. My parent is in a facility and adjusting well. I have sold our belongings and the house sale is pending. I am staying with a friend. I served her divorce papers, and her lawyer responded aggressively. Recently, a maintenance emergency at the old house forced me to return. I handled it and hoped to avoid her. Later that day, a doctor called. My wife had been admitted to the hospital. She thought she was having a heart attack. It was a panic attack. She confessed to self-harm ideation and was placed on a psych hold. I am still her emergency contact. I had to call her boss. The doctor said I could visit. I didn't want to go. It sounded like manipulation. But I still care for her well-being, and practically, I need her functional to settle our assets. I visited. She looked small and broken in the hospital bed. We talked civilly. Then came the second blow. During her intake exams, they found a mass. Ovarian cancer. Aggressive. Stage 2B or higher. I had to step into the hallway to breathe. I went back in and agreed to help her, clarifying it wasn't a reconciliation. Her panic attack was a perfect storm of the diagnosis, the divorce papers, and her birthday all colliding. She felt ending her life was easier than fighting alone. I convinced her to fight. She has been moved to a regular room. We are waiting for oncology results. If it hasn't spread to major organs, she faces massive surgery and chemo. I have agreed to help her through the surgery and recovery. My lawyer says we can treat this as an in-house separation to avoid liability for her debts, provided we don't cohabitate as a couple. I am moving back in to be her nurse, not her husband. It feels like a trap, but I cannot abandon a dying woman, even one who betrayed me. Update. The doctors confirmed stage 2B with spread, but it is operable. She needs immediate radical surgery followed by aggressive chemo. I am committed to supporting her battle. I know people say it isn't my job, but I can't be that cold. I will continue the divorce proceedings, but on a delayed timeline. I am bargaining with her life. I will support her if she agrees not to drag out the legal process. It feels dirty, but I have limits. In a dark twist, her cheating saved her life. The stress led to the panic attack, which led to the accidental discovery of the tumor. Fate is strange. I am moving back in. I am terrified of getting sucked back in emotionally or losing my patience. Update. I listened to a story about a man whose wife left him without cheating. He struggled for a year, begging, improving himself, and eventually moving on. He noted that even with a clean break, the pain is excruciating. It made me wonder, if she had just left me before cheating, would I hurt less? Probably not. Betrayal is a sharp knife. Abandonment is a dull saw. Both kill the relationship. I am preparing to enter the house of pain again to care for her. I feel cold feet. I have a tendency to be a white knight, trying to save everyone. I don't value her anymore, but I value my word. I am walking back into hell. Update. I am writing this from the hospital waiting room. It has been a nightmare. She coded during surgery due to uncontrollable blood pressure. They removed most of the cancer, but had to stop. Then she had a seizure last night, causing internal hemorrhaging, forcing a second emergency surgery. She is in and out of consciousness. They are fighting to prevent a stroke. While she was in surgery, I had her phone. I saw a message from a week ago, an unrecognized number. It was the affair partner. He was checking in, apologizing for a confrontation we had a month ago. I had tracked him down. I saw her reply. She told him he was the biggest mistake of her life, that she hated herself for meeting him, and to never contact her again. She blocked him. Does this change anything? No. It proves she kept secrets until the end. But it also confirms she was done with him. She might die without knowing I saw that. It doesn't fix the betrayal, but it offers a sliver of closure. She is fighting for her life. I am running on coffee and anxiety. I haven't slept in 2 days. I am just trying to keep my head above water. To everyone who supported me, thank you. You have no idea how much it helps to shout into the void and hear a voice answer back.